Greetings everyone, you're welcome to my Ichibu's Outbox. Once again, I just want to start by mentioning that I'm Uchendu Eugene Chibu and this is the Outbox. For those of you who've been watching and who's been following me, please do always follow, but do one more thing. If you haven't already subscribed, please tap down there and subscribe. But also, more importantly, I would like you to call on your colleagues, your friends, family members, and whatever you can, get someone else to subscribe, because the message we bring through this Outbox, through this podcast, is important for everyone, especially those of you within the motherland, the continent, Africa, and diaspora, and those who have an interest in the development of the continent. Something special today, and that is, I've got with me Professor Wesley Palmer. I'm not going to get into introducing him because his resume is so good that he is the best person to present it. But what I want to say, and you're all welcome, is that today we're going to talk about academia and entrepreneurship. And I've got an expert here, someone who is within the interface of academia as well as entrepreneurship, and who can share his experience as well as perceptions and opinions. We need all of them. With that said, I would like to introduce Professor Palmer. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Professor Chibo. It's a pleasure to be with you and your team here this evening to look at this very important subject, just to share information for our viewers and subscribers. Subject matter is very important. We want to talk about academia and entrepreneurship, two very important but converging topics. Now, that asked me to introduce myself. Essentially, he already introduced me as a professor and an entrepreneur. So I wear two hats. So on the professor side, I guess I can say I'm academia in terms of research and teaching, and then on the entrepreneurship side, I'm a practitioner. I heavily engage in entrepreneurship. Been an entrepreneur for approximately 30 years.
Wow. Did you hear that? 3-0, man. You're in the right place. And that's because the sort of knowledge you're going to share is what we've been looking for in this podcast. But before I actually delve into the actual conversation, I think my audience would like to know, you're a professor in what? What's your affiliation? And also as an entrepreneur, what's your affiliation? Yeah.
Okay, great. So in terms of on my professor side, I'm a professor of management and technology. So I teach a wide range of courses. Of course, I'm employed to the City University of New York, CUNY, and I'm assigned to the York campus in Jamaica, New York. So in that sense, I teach a wide variety of courses, such as strategic management, operations management. I teach also supply chain management, material management. I teach those courses along that line. And then I also teach economics and finance. In addition to those courses, I teach a wide range of technology courses, include cybersecurity. I teach information systems, and those are the core courses that I have been teaching and taught over the past 13 years.
Well, in terms of your corporate affiliation as an entrepreneur, it would be good to know your company and what you do.
So the name of my company, and now we're talking on my entrepreneurship side. The name of my company is WESPA Consulting Inc. So I can repeat that. It's WESPA Consulting Inc. Company is well established. You can find it on Google. You go into Google, you type in WEZPA. That's all you need to do, and it will come up. And you'll see me, my name, and other things and services it provides. Google has it. So the company is essentially was started in 1987. So it's been around for a minute. In terms of consulting service widely, we do accounting and financial consulting. We do a wide range of tax services, including payroll taxes, sales taxes, corporate taxes, and individual income taxes. We also provide a wide range of consulting in terms of management consulting. Within the ambit of management consulting, we conduct market research, feasibility studies, and write business plans. And the reason for doing this is to ensure that our clients start out their entrepreneurship journey on a sound footing.
Thanks very much. Well, as you heard directly from him, these companies lasted the test of time, and so congratulations, by the way, not many last that much. Where is the physical location of the company?
So the physical location, so we have 3 branches of the company. One in Brooklyn, New York. We have one in Queens, New York. And we have one in Long Island, New York, in Suffolk County.
Wow. I know this is not part of, I shouldn't ask, but someone out there wants to know why New York?
I think there's New York is an interesting place to do business, particularly because New York is known as the melting pot. You have a divergence of people from around the world, and people came to New York and they cannot find job, but they have an idea. And if you have an idea, you bring that idea to me. I might help you turn that idea into money.
Okay. Oh, thank you very, very much. So moving from New York back to Windhoek, Namibia, but in general, I have particular interests in Africa. And so to even move to the next question, I would ask, what is your experience in terms of business in Africa?
So Africa is a different market, right? It's a different market. As a consultant, I consider myself as an international consultant. Africa is an emerging market. It's in some ways, some part of it, I would consider even a virgin market. There's so much potential in Africa. I presently involved in investment in Ghana. I am involved I invest in a bank, farmers bank, in Ghana, in the farming region, and that was about 10 years ago. So that bank has grown significantly as the business has emerged. I'm also involved in academic service in here in Namibia,
Okay.
and I also involved, in addition to do consulting work in Ghana and here in Namibia, I also engage in charity. And the charity component of my consulting work is to give it away, give the service away.
Thank you. And also thank you for your patience. I guess I've taken you around a lot with quite what I would call preliminary questions, but back to academia and entrepreneurship. For us to even get into the actual conversation, of the theme of this particular episode, I would like you to, since we'll be talking about academia and entrepreneurship, I would like you to begin by foremost informing our audience of what academia means and what entrepreneurship means to you before we get into the conversation.
Awesome. So it's a great question, and I like the question because the question is what it means to me, and I didn't say what it means in general. Well, here's what it means to me. Academia means to me theory, research, give forward, or someone might say giving back. So within the confine of academia, we are researchers, we are teachers, we are mentors, we are holding people's hands, student hands, young people in particular, and guiding and directing them to an unknown path. Unknown to them, but in some ways known to us, right? That's the academic part. Is the research? Is the knowledge? Is it knowledge provision, or give knowledge, or knowledge sharing? That's what in the academia part of it is. Sharing your knowledge, sharing your experience. Not just knowledge too, we share experience as well. Now, for the entrepreneurship, what does it mean to me? It means someone who has a desire to be their own boss. I think I say it very simple. I'm not going to look for intellectual definition. Very simple. On the entrepreneurship side, is someone who has a desire to be his or her own boss. That's it.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for really keeping it very simple.
Yes.
So entrepreneurship means getting into the act of being your own boss. Now, a lot of academics I know here in Namibia, in Ghana, in Tanzania, Egypt, wherever I've met academics in Africa, seem to have something they do by the side. One of my colleagues would say it's a side gig, right? And in form of consulting or whatever. Do you consider that to be entrepreneurship?
Yes. And so it's tricky, right? Because here's what happened in general. In academia, the professor is his own boss. In North America, primarily.
I was gonna stop you there because I'm not my own boss here at NUS.
So the professor manages schedule, manages time, and basically does what he needs to do. He doesn't have someone supervising him, directing him, guiding him. He knows what he's supposed to do. So, but in Africa, the professor has a boss. So it's, as I just learned. So it's a different scenario or a different sort of operation. Now, again, the entrepreneur is someone who wants, desire, aspire to be his or her own boss. Well, since the professor has a boss, I guess at the point of wanting to be an entrepreneur, so let's say Dr. Chabu decided to do an entrepreneur, some kind of find a passion, and he wants to do that. I'm not sure how that works in terms of employment contract. But let's put the employment contract aside. Let's say his employment contract allow him to have a side business. Well, if he has a side business, then he's an entrepreneur. As long as he's the one who's directing it. It's his idea. He's supporting it. He's financing it. He's doing it. He's an entrepreneur. Right? So a professor can be both. He can be a professor, and he can also be an entrepreneur. For example, me, I am a professor, and I'm also an entrepreneur. So within that context, I am defined as a practitioner, right? So to fully classify that, I am a scholar practitioner, and the scholar practitioner is one who engage in industry and carrying on industry practices on one hand, and on the other hand, he's also teaching and researching.
Wow. Thanks very much. I think you try to, not only make it clear, but you also put it quite very much into context in terms of what happens in North America and what probably happens here. I think the experience here is that, yes, when I say we do have bosses, yeah, that's in the university. We report to someone, and yeah. But I also do know that we are allowed to own businesses, invest in businesses. For instance, lawyers, there are lawyers that own practices, but at the same time teaching universities. So people own businesses. Here you have people who actually own farms. They own farms, and they are in the university. But what I meant when I said we do have bosses is that the structure is so strict that you report to someone, and for the professors, you would say they have the highest level of independence, in the university. Okay, so I just want to put that into perspective. But there's something quite interesting that you mentioned, and that is, in North America, you're the boss in your office, but then you can own a business, and entrepreneurship, from your definition, means also you being the boss. What are situations where you're not the boss? Forget about professors now, but lecturers, you're not the boss, but then you have to do something by the side that's, that requires you to be the boss.
All right, I want to just also make a clarification too. In North America, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a scholar practitioner, you're professor, when you're entrepreneur and a professor, in general, your contract that you sign does not allow you to be an entrepreneur. If here's the if you choose to be a full-time academia.
Okay.
So for me, for example, and I know this is a podcast, so quickly the University of New York will see this. I am a part-time professor.
Okay.
And so as a part-time professor, I am allowed to be an entrepreneur and a professor.
Okay.
So I want to make that be clear.
Okay. No, it's important that you have to clarify that.
Yes.
So the key word here is part-time. You know, on one hand, you gotta be part-time in order to now be a full-time entrepreneur, part-time entrepreneur, however it's defined.
Yes.
So that's also, you know, speaking from where I'm coming from. Then there's also here we do have the possibilities of, you know, full-time, you know, professors owning businesses, you know, and perhaps it does vary. For instance, I'm from Nigeria, in Namibia, so I'm basically here to teach as a professor.
Okay.
So normally, it's not expected that I would be here, you know, running a business, because that's not what I came here for.
Yes.
Yeah. But for a native or a citizen of this country,
Right.
yeah, it is possible. Some of them already own business before they became professors or lecturers, and you know, so I guess still trying to make the clarifications.
Yes.
There's a lot of context to the discussion. So, but thanks for that. And now that we know what you consider to be academia and what you consider to be entrepreneurship, let's just delve into your own experiences, you know, in navigating academia and entrepreneurship. Just your own experience.
So it's an interesting journey, I would say. Very interesting. You enjoy both worlds. When you're in academia, you're researching, you're publishing, you're coming up with new ideas, you're attending conferences with world scholars, and you're engaging in the shaping of new technologies, new information systems. And as an entrepreneur, that puts you ahead of the curve, because you're ahead of your fellow consultant, because you're where everything is being emerged. So you're getting it long before it trickles down to your competition.
That's great. And so would you say you've been enjoying both roles?
I enjoy both worlds, because interestingly, as a professor, you get the one of my deepest satisfaction is really commencement day. Maybe here you guys might call it graduation day, when all the students and the parents come together for that big celebration to receive their diploma and to walk across the aisles and shake the hands of their deans and whoever. And I'm there, and that was my student. And I watched that student cross the platform. It gives me that satisfaction that I have helped to shape a professional, help to shape the career of someone, and it's a good feeling. It's really good feeling. In terms of entrepreneurship, is the freedom that I have, the freedom to create and to do the things that I want to do. Especially to find a small company, for example, and an entrepreneur who has an idea but has nothing more than an idea, and bring that idea to me, and I can sit down with that person, that prospective entrepreneur, that nascent to mean somebody who has an idea developer, entrepreneur, and guide them and direct them and set them on a path, and they follow that path, and I watch them for first year, and then going and then following the path, and watch them for second year, and in 5 years I see that person established maybe 2 or 3 branches of the organization, maybe increase the employment to 50 or even 20, to see their revenue move up to $500,000, $1 million. That gives me that sense of satisfaction and joy. So in both worlds, they paid off in terms of satisfaction. It's great.
Thank you. And I know someone out there is wondering, what's he talking about? Most entrepreneurs, investors around the world, the richest people we know around the world are people who dropped out of school. So what is he talking about? Here in Africa, even the so-called richest, most of them are people who had to, either leave school, except in South Africa, but elsewhere where you go, they're mostly people who either dropped out of school or evaded school in order to focus in business. When we look at even from the North America, the United States, where we tend to get most of the literature, US, Europe, most of the notable ones also consist of mostly people who dropped out of school. And that leaves me to now ask, there's a school of thought out there that clearly accept the notion that academics do not make good entrepreneurs, right? And so I put it to you, do academics make good entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. Academic makes some of the best entrepreneurs, and some of the most solid entrepreneurs are academia. For example, the owner for Facebook, who in some ways Facebook, know what I said, in some ways could be called the mother of social network, right? Before Facebook, what did we have? And in Facebook we had
Kodak.
Correct. No, with Facebook, Chibu can take a picture here of something interesting and put it on Facebook, and all his friends could say, "Hey Chibu, I see that you were in Germany." All right, "Hey Chibu, I see that you were in Nigeria." Kodak, who knows very where Chibu was? In fact, after 3 weeks, he probably can't even find the picture. Facebook, for example, with Mark Zuckerberg, make pictures come alive, but not only come alive, but give pictures perpetuality. They live forever now in the cloud. Now think about what Zuckerberg was from Harvard University. So and look at all that is happening with the company, and here's just one example. But most of some of the technology, the people who are running technology firms are geniuses who come from Ivy League universities from around the world, that are running the world in terms of high profile organizations. Of course, we have entrepreneurs who have been college dropped out. But understand this: a college dropped out is still a college professional. The reason why he dropped out is because he has finished. You see what happened?
Without his certificate?
Yes, he has finished. You see what happened? Some people think that you should do the 4 years. But a guy gone to college and in 2 years, he learned what he needs to learn for the 4 years. So why continue? He dropped out and start his endeavor and become a multi-millionaire.
Okay, we take that. We take that. So I would also like to add to what Professor Palmer just mentioned. Individuals like Jeff Bezos, graduates. You consider yourself an academic scholar practitioner, right?
Yes.
What do we call Elon Musk? Entrepreneur politician?
Yeah.
Okay. So someone like Elon Musk, that's the point I want to make, is also a graduate. So
yes, of course he is.
Yeah. So, but it was necessary to mention, that there's quite a lot of dropouts out there, who became great as entrepreneurs, but also your perspective of having, of them graduating before their time,
right,
without certificate. I think it also makes sense because I dropped out from Birmingham University in the UK from an MBA.
Right.
After the first year, I couldn't the second year, obviously because of funding, but actually the main reason I dropped out was because I felt it was a scam at that point, because the things I was learning were things I felt I already know.
Okay.
Probably not so much, but when you're being taught something you feel you begin to think the money isn't worth it. And in the process, I took a leave of absence, and from there, slept away. And so, yes, I think your point is valid. I'm not sure everyone would agree with that, but obviously, when you look at what some of these guys left the universities to go and do, then you would agree with him that they obviously knew more than they should have to be in the university and felt they should leave and put it into practice. So,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but also you can have a kid that also jump out of high school. You see what happened, that we have a learning system that tells us that you must do 5 years of this and 4 years of that and 2 years of that to be qualified to build your profession. But not all of us are made equal. A high school student might not need to finish high school to develop a system that is unique. He might just need 2 years of high school, 3 years of high school. And if at the point that he's at 3 years of high school, he'd know that he can develop a system that he can monetize. Why should he then sit there for 3 more years in high school just going through the motion?
But someone out there could argue the fact that, okay, someone like myself, I've got 2 sons, 2 kids, and they are all in high school, just started or finishing their first year in high school. And they do raise these questions, right? But the issue here is the certificate. If you do not get out with a certificate, except you're the son of Mark Zuckerberg and you can work in Facebook, but if you do not get out with a certificate, there's also consequences for that.
Of course, there's a consequence if you dropped out with a certificate. If you want to be an employee, see now, this is where we have to look at direction. Where are you headed? If you're headed to become an employee,
you need a certificate.
Then you need a certificate. But if you want to become an employer,
You don't need a certificate.
you might not need a certificate. What you really need from the university or from this high school is to sharpen the skill.
Yeah.
And if you are able to sharpen your skill ahead of your colleagues, because remember this, let me say this quickly. There are some students who go from grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, and grade 5. Right? When I was in school, there was some student who go to grade 1, grade 2, and then skip grade 3, 4, and go right to grade 5. Because they know enough, these grades did not mean anything. And then they grade 5, they go to grade 6, and then skip and then move right into the next grade. So there are some little scholars who don't need to follow this pattern. So if you want to become an employee, yes, of course, you need to get a certificate. But if you want to become an employer, an entrepreneur, and you have developed the skill that you know you need to build that system or that practice, then what's the point?
Let me just warn some of my students out there. You heard it. Direct from the entrepreneur and the scholar. If you are not going to be an employer, better stay.
That's right.
Because without a certificate, you're finished.
Correct.
Now, I have an important question. Unlike my time as a student, I'm still a student, but I'm a student of the society. But unlike my time as a university student, these days we also have students who say they are student entrepreneurs. 6 years ago, teaching in the classroom, whenever I found a student looking at their phone, fixated to the screen, each time I went behind them and checked, they were either on Facebook or today, 2025, 2024, 2025, each time I found my students, I'm talking about real experience, I found my students fixated on their phone and I went behind them, guess what? Online trading. In the classroom. What do we call these ones? Entrepreneurs?
Yes. I want to just...
And this is real. You know, it happens a lot. A lot of the students cannot concentrate. I meet them out, you know, after class and we chat. I'm saying, what are you doing? You're trading? And they say to me, sir, I made $500. I mean, we're talking about US dollars. $500 US the other day, you know, and I need to do this to pay my tuition. I need to do, you know, and yeah, so that's something I'm beginning to experience of recent. It would be nice if you could speak about that.
So, great. So, student entrepreneurship. So, I will tell you that in an example. So, I taught entrepreneurship at Baruch College in the City University of New York. Now, Baruch College is a premier business school in the City University. That is widely known, one of the universities, one of the colleges in the university, in the City University that produce more CEOs than any other in the city. Now, CEO on Wall Street. So I want to make that clear, and that is the fact. Now, when I taught entrepreneurship at Baruch College, we had a program there that develop and recruit young talent to become. So what they do, they must develop a product, an idea, a plan, get the feasibility study done, and present that as a competition. And they will win. The university has a funding program, a grant program, and depending on what the student has, professors will judge it, and some students would get 50,000, some will get 20,000, some will get 30,000, some will get 10,000, to do what they say they can do. There's one student when I was at Baruch College that came up with an idea. Here's the idea the student came up with in the competition. And he won, I don't remember if he won 20,000 or 50,000. He came up with an idea, and that was about over 10 years ago. The student came up with an idea that he would develop an online laundromat. That was never heard of before. That was the first time we heard that. I was like, online laundromat.
Can you say that again?
Online laundromat.
Laundromat, okay.
So instead of you walk or drive down to the laundromat to get your clothes washed, right? He set up and he built an app. The student built an app, and that app allow you, once you download the app on your phone, to log into the app and say, put in your name and address, say how many pieces you want to wash, put that in the shopping cart, and put your clothes, your bag of clothes out your door, and go off to work. And there's someone will come, get your clothes, wash your clothes, iron your clothes, whatever your clothes you want to get done, and then they'll send you a message on the app to tell you the clothes is ready, and they will return your clothes anytime you are home. They want you to receive the clothes back. They don't leave it outside.
Yeah.
They want, when they finish with it, they want to hand it to you. Right? That's part of their customer service. And the business become a very successful business. Even in my class, there's a student that came to me and said, Professor, I want to do a business. I said, what do you want to do? He said, I wanted to open up a tea shop, some tea shops. And I said, and I was teaching him entrepreneurship. This kid was about 21 years old. And he wanted to open tea shop in Manhattan. The prices to rent places in Manhattan is ridiculous. I'm like, wow, this kid is brave. Even me as an entrepreneur and as a practitioner, see the risk is very, very high given the location that he wants. But I had to encourage him. So I asked him, have you done the feasibility study? He said yes. I said, the market research there, I want you to help me with that. So I helped him with it. The kid opened 2 tea stores in Manhattan. So the university, of course, has that responsibility and the ability and the equipment and everything that students need to turn them into entrepreneurs.
Wow, I've got an episode coming on that, but that's quite insightful. I would so basically you're saying let the students do what they can do. Obviously not during class. I would imagine, right? Yeah, but I get it. Yeah, so if you're a student out there, whatever you're doing to earn your money so far is legitimate, and it doesn't hinder your learning capacity or disturb the class, you're encouraged. Thank you. Now I would like to bring you to Africa. You've given us your experience in general, but it will be interesting to also know what your African experience is. You did mention at the start of this, session that you've done some work in parts of Africa. I know you for the past 3 years, and I got to know you through a friend who's also a professor here at NUST, and I'm sure you have other friends in the continent, maybe business partners. So I'm interested to know that, having visited some African countries and also mingled with some of us within and outside the continent and in both business and academia, do you think we are entrepreneurial?
Of course, Africans are wildly entrepreneurial. I can speak of those who I know. The Nigerian are very aggressive in entrepreneurship. In New York, you will find a lot of huge establishments that are owned by Nigerian. And for example, you have like doctor services, dental services, attorneys that's running their own practices. Because one of my clients that's not too far from my office is from Nigeria. She runs a legal office law firm, and she's Nigerian. Also, a very good friend of mine work for a gentleman who has a group of dialysis centers, and there are a lot of Nigerian who owns they are doctors and they own dialysis centers in New York and other businesses. One of my clients, I have another client who is also a Nigerian, and he runs a real estate business. He's my client, and he's a very successful entrepreneur. He actually, this one Nigerian, he runs a real estate company, which is a hugely successful one. He also runs event center, which basically, and it's amazing because that center, is just a room, like a big room where if you want to have your birthday, your wedding, and all those events, you come there and put on that event. You can play your music and so forth. And then, so for the whole week, you might see Nigerian coming in with their culture, back and forth with their headdress, with the women with their headdress and their dresses, and they're coming in to have various events. I don't know the culture enough to know why, but I see the headdress and the dress and they always be there. But it's not just Nigerian uses that facility; it's for everybody. But I guess Nigerian found out that it's the Nigerian owned, and they're supporting their fellow brother in the diaspora.
Okay, thanks very much. I think my perhaps last or second to last question would be on what advice do you think you can give to the crop, the recent crop of academics in at least in my university and other places in Namibia and across within Africa, in terms of entrepreneurship?
What I know about Africa from traveling throughout Africa, and I travel somewhat in Africa, I've been to several African countries. What I see people with a lot of potential, but I see a country, and most African countries, with high level of unemployment. Young people are graduating from college. I spoke to a young man this week, and who has a high-profile job, but that job that he has is not what he went to school for. And he said to me, "Well, this is a job that I got when I finished university, but it's not the job that I really wanted to do." But he said, "But there's no other job." So what I would say for African students, as you're choosing your career path, choose professions that are more practical in nature. Choose professions that will help you to use your own skills. Choose profession that you instead of you looking for a job, you go try to develop your own job, right? For example, I could say, let me give you an example. Instead of doing, say, marketing, and I love marketing, okay, I want to make sure I say that. I love marketing. But do accounting. Because in accounting, you can become a bookkeeper. You don't need to look for an employer. Look, what you need to do is find someone who's willing to allow you to keep their book. And they don't need to hire you full time, because they might say, you know what, I don't want to hire some full time person, but they might just need you for 2 days a week or 1 day a month. So if you find 10 people who need you for 1 day a week, 2 days a month, and you have a fee structure, you become an entrepreneur and you employ yourself, making your money and getting busy, and might be so busy that you employ others to help you, right? So choose a career path that will allow you to develop and use your own skill to create employment, rather than choosing a path where you need someone to hire you.
So I'm looking at the comments. Someone is asking, are you an accountant?
I am an accountant.
Okay. And you know why they're asking? You better talk to them, because there are some of them out there who studied marketing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am an accountant, so in terms of career, I am an accountant. And this is what made me a super entrepreneur. I'm an accountant. I'm a management consultant. I'm a tax consultant, right? So within the area of business, I really started out as an accountant, but what I just told you what I did. When I was in college, I helped send myself to college by keeping people books. So when I was in college, I would go to the companies around the university and say I could do Excel or QuickBooks, and I could do 1 day a week for you, 2 days a week. I don't care if you pay me $50. You're going to help me. And then I just do for several small companies around, and someone tell their friend, oh, I got a kid here from Baruch College, he does great work for me. He said, oh, send him over here. So then I go over there and I do 2 days for him. One said, oh, is this your new guy? I said, yeah. He said, I could use him too. And then everybody using me. And that's how I made my money to go to university. And then when I was in the university, the professor asked me to do something on entrepreneurship. So I'm now telling you about my background, personal. Now I want to divulge that. I never intend to do, but I will do it. Now, asked me to write a business plan and do a feasibility study on an entrepreneurship. And I did something on accounting. And then when I did it, I also gave it a name. And I gave it the name WESPA. But I did a class project. And when I did a class project, the professor said, oh, this is no good. And he gave me a C for it. He said, this is no good. What are you talking about? This makes no sense. And I said to him, well, it made no sense to you, but it makes sense to me. I left university opened up a firm. In fact, when I was in university, I was recruiting students to work for them to do their taxes on campus. And so students were coming to me to do their taxes, and I was a businessman in campus, producing consulting in taxation and tax provision. With my thesis that my professor said was no good. I finished.
It's very clear you love your profession. Okay, let's just stop there. You love your profession.
I do.
It's very clear. My producer studied marketing. Okay, so
and I love a producer. I love a producer. And marketing is a good concept. You can be an entrepreneur as a marketer. You can be an entrepreneur as at any profession. Only that some of them are a little harder. So for marketing, for example, you can decide not to work for anybody, but you can decide to build up. I can tell you how to be an entrepreneur as a marketer. All you need to do is to find a niche. And once you find a niche, then you develop a website. Once you build up a website, you do a market research and a feasibility study. And then once you do that, you start looking for your client. Right? And you start looking for your client, and you start with small businesses. And also you make your price very competitive. Right? And you also give some free service. Right? And as a marketer, you can become a multi-million business as a market entrepreneur. Okay. But it's a little bit harder.
So I get it. So your point in terms of comparison between marketing and accounting, I guess those are two cases. Mm-hmm. What you're saying is with accounting, it's easy to find a niche because the specialization is you're with it already. But with marketing, you have to search for it. So okay. So I think that's something we should make clear, and that's what the point is about. That's not unusual with many courses we study in the university. A lawyer graduates from the university and knows he's got to do legal work. A doctor knows he's going to work in a hospital or some work related to health. And someone who studied philosophy and that has to find where to work. I guess that's the point you're trying to
make. And I did mention that if you I love philosophy. Yeah. And I said I wanted to become a philosophy professor, and I said I didn't do that because it is difficult. What do you do other than teach? As a philosopher?
You can create problems. You create problems with your mouth and try to find way to solve them. She's going around the circle.
I find about it.
I get that. I get exactly.
Be like Plato or Aristotle. I don't find no audience.
Or speak to yourself and let her play it out. But look, we are trying to have fun here. But we hope you understand. So some courses, I have my own experience, and when you look at the trajectory of my academic movement, you find that I studied estate management, I studied business management, business and management in emerging markets. I dropped out of my MBA, and when I studied MSc lab management, and then I did doctoral engineering. When you look at that trajectory, it tells you somebody's searching for something, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what you're trying to say is you can solve that problem at the bachelor's level. You don't have to run around for that. Okay, Professor Palmer, I think this is very clear, and I hope those of you watching this are enjoying it as much as I'm enjoying it, and it's been a wonderful time with you. And this probably will be my last question, or the last point of discussion. during the period of this particular conversation, you've mentioned strategies, strategic consulting many times. As you know, just a key phrase. And so I would like you to talk about your book. This book, just to be sure everyone is seeing my face, this book, Cybersecurity, Data Protection and Strategies. This is the first edition. It's written by Wesley Palmer. Professor Palmer, who's here with us, is the author. I got this book from you as a gift sometime last year.
Yes.
Yes, and when you gave it to me, you said I should use it as a reference document.
Yes.
You know, for issues related to data, information, use of the cyberspace and navigating the cyberspace for my work, whether it is in business or in academia or in everyday life. And I'm glad you visited again this year and you're now here with us. I would like you to, as a matter of fact, tell our audience what the book is all about, you know, in very few words, and maybe they would enjoy it as much as I am.
Of course. All right, so it's a pleasure to talk about this book, Cybersecurity, Data Protection and Strategies. Now, I am a professor that teaches this course, and it's just amazing as you teach the course and delve into research to see what's happening. The world is presently under threat. There was a time when you didn't have to worry about your bank account. There was a time when you didn't have to worry about the social security number. There was a time when you didn't have to worry about any of your private information. Today, your bank account can be stolen and your money wiped out clean because of cybersecurity. There are cyber criminals operating in cyber world, in cyberspace, that are making an enormous living of stealing and sharing and selling your information. And so basically, why I wrote this book is to provide information, provide insight to people to help them protect their information, their data from cyber criminals.
Thank you. And I think that is where the full stop should be. I personally have tried to use the book as a reference material to understand what I have to do when I have one or two problems, you know, with the internet, with my accounts within the cyberspace. Here you would get those sort of question and answer, Q&A, you know, prominent or popular Q&A issues, as well as those that some of you do not really think about. It's a book that you don't have to be an academic to use. You just have to be using the internet in order to need it. So if you're out there and you want to grab a copy, please do.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon?
It's on Walmart and any places that book are sold.
So it's cybersecurity, so you would imagine, since it's about cybersecurity, it's within the cyberspace, the popular spaces, commercial spaces like Amazon and other places where you can buy them. Once again, the title is Cybersecurity, Data Protection and Strategies. Author is Wesley Palmer, and you heard about the book directly from him. And for now, I hope you can check it out online. So thank you. And thank you. I really appreciate your coming in. And I think, you know, we've got our way of, you know, showing appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
And we really, and I do really appreciate your taking the time to give us, I believe we're spending at least nearly an hour of discussion here, and I appreciate that. And on that basis, I would like to say thank you.
Of course.
By
Pleasure.
shake of hand.
Pleasure.
But I also would like to say thank you. You know, you've been traveling this continent, and I live in the continent, and also do get the opportunity to travel the continent. And I would like to share some little souvenir with you.
Of course.
So, from the Namibia University of Science and Technology, we are very, very, very grateful that you visited. We already know we have an ongoing collaboration with you, but it's really good to have you around and to talk about business. I personally, it's not only that I'm a professor in land administration, but I also studied business. But you know, studying business is different from doing business, right? And ever since I studied business, I've always struggled as when to take the right step to actually get into business. And so perhaps academia, it kind of provides a safety net, you know, for me to do that, which in a way is good, but in some ways an impediment because, you know, I've not been able to take that bold step. And from what you've said today, I have my own ideas of how to go about it. And without you know, in any way jeopardizing my academic journey and my ability to teach students and do research. And I hope that all colleagues who are there, who might be listening and watching, that you got the same. So with that, here is a little bit of a gift from us, the Namibia University of Science and Technology. It's a business laptop bag. And we hope you can, as you go through doing your business, we hope that you would use it and remember us that you came from here. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I also do have, as part of my travel, now I don't know if you eat this thing, but the last trip I made, I think that was 2 weeks ago, was to Ghana. And you know, Ghana produced the best chocolate.
Yes.
In this continent. And I don't care what anybody wants to say.
Okay.
Right? So I got some chocolates, and I hope as you get back, you would at least share with someone in New York. So that's Ghanaian chocolate.
Okay.
I also 2 weeks ago came down from Tanzania, right? In Tanzania, you get the best cashew nuts.
Wow.
Right? And I hope that, oh, you do? That's good. So I hope that you would enjoy it, knowing that it's from Tanzania, the best place to get the best cashew nuts. So really appreciate it.
Thank you so much,
I want you to really enjoy this. We appreciate it.
I thank you and thank your team for inviting me, and it's really an honor, really, to be here and to just to share with you and to also learn from you, because this collaboration is a win-win situation. Is sharing as well as learning. And I appreciate you.
We'll be coming back to you for business consulting.
Of course.
Thank you.
I'm available.